Hey everybody, it's Matt here from AffirmationNFT. To do a video today to sort of try and walk through the minting script that I've been mentioning on Twitter as I've been sort of going through trying to explore how to mint independently or privately at the moment, whilst the sort of environment and the tooling out there is so sort of diverse. I found it quite sort of empowering to be able to just do that individually. So I thought I would try and share this as something that hopefully the community can use as well. It is in its current form still going to be something that's going to demand a little bit of technical knowledge. I can't really sidestep that at the moment. That said, I would like to continue developing this to make it something that is more and more accessible. And indeed, just as a precursor to that, I'm looking into things like Hash Connect and Hashpack and things like that too, so that potentially we can sort of deploy this as something that will be more accessible and easy to use. Meanwhile, if you can put up with a little bit of technical sort of talk and tooling, then you will likely be able to find a way of being able to mint NFTs independently using this approach. In terms of technology and what it uses, this is something that uses the JavaScript SDK with Hedera directly. It takes the form of a Node.js project type. So that will demand certain bits of software be available to us when we're sort of doing that. I will try and sort of document that in the notes as I'm going through it so that I can be sure that you've got pointers to where you can go and install that as you need to. It's going to be a little bit time prohibitive for me to go through and try and do that for every concept and every bit of software that's in this. Otherwise, the video would be going for days. So I will try and do the sort of high level, all encompassing one to start with. And then if there's feedback saying, can you provide a bit more info on this? And I might share more links or provide more information on the repo to sort of reflect that. So humor me, if you will, in the short term at least. Okay, so just in terms of getting into it now, I've got this repo up on GitHub that you see and hopefully on screen at the moment called Hashgraph Tools. It's all focused around example transactions using the Hedera SDK, JavaScript SDK. I started going back a few months doing the account key reset. So if anybody wanted to be able to independently reset their key and mnemonic, I never know how I say that phrase, then you could use the script in this repository to do that. It would give you a new mnemonic phrase and a set of keys that you could use on your account if you did want to reset that. So that's one of the transactions that's in there already. And the one that I've added recently is called minting NFTs. So I've started to break down the notes in this to reflect both of those sections under the wiki in the repo. So you'll be able to find more information on this one clicking through to that page. Again, just with everything on this, full disclaimer, because I don't want anybody to misread or misunderstand where this is at. This is code I'm providing for you for your use at your own risk. There's no warranty on this. There's no liability that I can assume for you in terms of using this code. I have to label this as being development environment only and not production code because it hasn't had a full pass of production grade kind of assessment and overview to it in terms of things like security, performance, stability, defensive coding techniques, all the type of stuff that would go into it if you wanted to really put this into a production grade app. So just use this as something that is out of the tin, but do not just lift and shift it into something in a production format. That's not going to be ideal for you. Just feel free to use it. Try it out in a testnet first, I would recommend, just to get yourself familiar with what it does, how it behaves. And then if you're comfortable with that and you want to try it in the mainnet, then you can do that knowing that the mainnet will incur some costs for you. And I'll try and sort of allude to those as I go through a little bit, so bear with me on that. Okay, so just clicking through to the minting NFTs page to start with. On here, you're going to need some bare minimums to start with, and like I said, I will pad this out more and more as I go through and after I've finished this video too. you will need at least one account to pay for transactions. So you're going to need the account ID and a private key to act as a treasurer and to act as a treasurer or custodian of the NFTs that you mint. We'll put this information into what's called the environment file or the .env file. You're going to need an API key from the NFT storage website. That's fairly easy to go through and grab that, but you will need that because that's basically where you will upload assets, i.e. the sort of media and metadata for your NFTs onto IPFS, which is where it stores all of those assets for your NFTs. And then finally, as it stands right now, I'm going to have to assume that you would be using a Windows operating system for this particular sort of run through, because that's what I'm based on. If anybody does have a Mac or Linux environment directly or something else that's weird and wonderful, and you want to provide feedback or changes or suggestions to this, more than welcome to receive those, and would be open to that feedback as well. I just can't tailor for it right here, right now. So the way that I operate with this is that I will have VS Code as the IDE or sort of coding environment, if you like, and that's what this sort of window here is. That's where I sort of the code will load and will show in there. I operate with a subsystem of Linux within Windows, and that just enables me to use the Linux tooling for some of the stuff that we do. It makes life a little bit easier when you're using some of this technology stack. So I've put links to how to install that as well. I have put a link to installing Windows Terminal. That's just an updated version of what used to be sort of command prompt, if you like, and that's this window here. Again, just a little bit friendlier, a little bit easier to use for some of the work that's being done. You're going to need Git on there as well. So that is actually a source control piece of software, mostly because you're going to want to pull down this repository from GitHub. There are a number of tools you can use to do that. I'm just going to use Git for it, and you'll see that as I sort of show the example. Then we've got Node.js, which is the sort of the technology stack that sits behind how the application runs that I've written these scripts in. All of this isn't too problematic to get onto your machine, but I appreciate it is a little bit technical. So this is all the caveat really at the moment of using this script. You kind of need to be able to go through and put some of this stuff on your machine and feel fairly comfortable with it if you can. Okay. I'll pause this video there as a part one, and then I will jump into minting as a part two sort of video, and there might be a couple of parts to this just in terms of bouncing through it. Okay, I'll stop this there.